So excited! It's the first week of NFL. We've got fires. We've got 2020. Let's get started. And AJ Herschel just joined us. My name is
Nick of Time.
Nick of Time. My name's Judah Buddha. Can't hear you.
Oh my goodness!
I can hear him.
Okay, there we go. I got worried for a second.
AJ Herschel, the kid, has joined us. We are, of course, joined by It's Jared. Ooh, I went too high. And we are the Roto Hackers podcast. Man, guys, it's awesome. We've already had some football. We have football to talk about. It's amazing. I'm giddy. I'm so giddy. So, how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Not bad.
Are you guys? Did you guys watch the game?
Oh, of course.
I only was able to catch parts of it, but yeah, I saw parts of it.
Okay. Yeah, I watched the whole game. I'm worried I'm not going to be able to see many of the games on Sunday. I have to rearrange my whole schedule. I got to think about all this. And from the parts that you guys saw, well, what are some of your takeaways?
By the way, AJ, is he? Oh wait, no, maybe it's just mine. Maybe I was just gonna say, maybe my thing is just loud. Like I don't have my volume up that high.
Loud?
I don't know. No, maybe
AJ,
not.
am I loud?
I think you're okay for me.
No, your volume is about the same then. Okay, maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe I've developed my volume's down low. Maybe I've just developed supersonic hearing because you're both like I don't know. Seems loud to me. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. What were you going to say?
No, that's good. No, that's good to know.
For me, I think the thing was first of all, Kansas City's offensive line looked great last game, like out of this world type great. When they brought up the players originally, it's like, oh yeah, here's the guys in their offensive line. I was looking at the names and I was like, wow, this looks good. And CEH was just had holes all day, which makes me think even if he's not the most talented runner in the league, he's going to have the ability to act like it because their old line is so good. Conversely, I don't know how David Johnson made it through because the Texans offensive line forgot how to play football for the second season in a row in week 1. So I don't know what to say, but it was just an absolute mess. Watching the Texans try to play football, just offensively. Also, Deshaun Watson's rushing touchdown saved me in 2 games.
I think it saved a lot of people.
Yeah.
Jared, what do you think, man?
Yeah, there were some interesting takeaways from it. CEH 25 carries. He didn't catch any passes, but he had 2 targets. They didn't really need to throw the ball a whole lot with him, but I mean 25 rushes, like that's old school throwback utilization for a running back. So he had almost 20 points between 130 something yards and a touchdown. So I feel really good about like taking him on 5 of my last 10 teams or so. I wish Damian Williams had opted out right away, and then I would have probably taken him on more teams. But so that was good. Now we're going to have, is it going to be a repeat of last year where Sammy Watkins is a popular week 2 waiver wire pickup?
Watkins syndrome.
Ben called it. Remember?
Yeah.
Ben said, this is, the first week. That's Sammy Watkins' sweet spot.
Yeah. So that one's going to be an interesting one. We'll have to see who else, comes out of week 1 as a week 1 stud that might be a pickup. And I'll be curious to see where Sammy falls in relation to, all of them, since last year he burned people by not doing anything for the rest of the year. I think those were, the Texans. That offense. I don't know. I did not draft. I have no Deshaun Watson shares because I'm scared for them with that offensive line and missing DeAndre Hopkins and all that. So,
yeah. Which, to the credit of David Johnson, though, he made it. He somehow salvaged 17 points out of that game.
right.
It's crazy.
He looked great.
Mm-hmm.
He looked old. Now, he looked great, and then he went to the sideline with his wrist, and I thought, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, it turned out, I guess, not to be anything. However, I mean, he looked great. I do worry. I mean, the worry wasn't that he forgot how to play basketball. What is wrong with me?
Football.
He didn't forget how to play football, but I mean, the truth is, he last year he was banged up. Obviously, the problem wasn't his skill; it was his body. So we'll see. I mean, this could be a great year for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hype on CEH is way, way too overblown.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having Hunt. You know, like me and you. Was it me and you, AJ? We took him in our league, or we missed him, and I took him in my other league.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And I took him in my other league. I think that's what it was. And I remember the first week just being Hunt blew up, had like 25, 30 points or something like that. He had like 3 touchdowns. And I remember thinking, I've made it. I've got him. And then like the rest of the year, it was really up and down with Hunt. He did well. He did okay. But, he didn't have a lot of it was sporadic. And I think I remember trading him away. And I think I traded him for Deshaun Jackson. Remember that? And then he got injured. So, but anyway,
was that the Tyrod Taylor pickup? I can't remember.
Tyrod Taylor?
I don't remember which one it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I do think we have to be careful getting too excited about 1 week from. I mean, watching him play, I wasn't super excited. I saw huge holes he was running through, and that's not going to go away. Well, that defense was pretty terrible. You got to admit, there was a lot of trying to catch people with your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, the Texans aren't a great defensive team, but every team, assuming the Chiefs don't have a rash of injuries, every team is going to have to contend with trying to figure out whether they want to stop Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Travis Kelce, CEH, Patrick Mahomes throwing or running. So I feel like there are going to be holes that I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of games where they're like, all right, we're going to key on the run. We're just going to stop the run and dare Kansas City to beat us through the air. They're going to then do that. So just the usage, like 25 rushes to come out with 135 yards. And I mean, I think that's just in the top offense, basically in football, to get that much, that many carries, was way more than I didn't expect him to get 20. I wasn't sure if he would get 15. So to come out with 25, and so all the leagues
expectations.
Yeah. And all the leagues where I took him, I was getting him for 52, 53. I think I did go up to 59 or 60 in one league. And I wish I'd gone an extra $1 or $2. And I think in our league, somebody bid 61 on him. And so I stopped at 60, but in the Roto Hackers League. But all those places where I got him for, 52, 53, I feel really, really good about that.
We'll see how it goes going forward. I mean, you saw how bad he is in short yardage.
That was the bummer, is he did not do well in short yardage, but sometimes those can be, that's a situation where it's one game and you don't know how.
Yeah, no, that's true. I had flashbacks of Frank Gore, but later Frank Gore, more recent Frank Gore, because he wasn't that fast, but he did have really good vision. He saw where the hole was and hit it hard, and he saw where the defenders were coming at him. change direction.
Yeah.
His stop foot go foot was a little pitter patty. That's okay.
He kind of reminds me of a younger Le'Veon, kind of, where when he hits a hole, he's got a little bit of a speed burst, and his vision is probably the best part of his game in seeing the hole. Like a younger, less experienced version of Le'Veon when he started out in the league. That's what he reminds me of, kind of.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about his vision. Thing is he's tiny too, though. Kind of like Gore.
Yeah.
Gore's not a big guy. He's strong. He's strong. So, anyways, we'll see. Going forward, I don't have any shares of him, so maybe that's why I'm okay saying, I'm biased.
You're the meme. You're like the crying, but the happy mask with with the crying meme underneath.
That could be. We got Ryan in the chat saying won't be needing much advice this year due to COVID. All right. I didn't like the risk of fantasy football and only have 2 leagues this year. Okay.
Gotcha.
Hey, we hear you.
You'll still need our advice for those 2 leagues.
Yeah. Don't you want to win, Ryan?
That just puts more emphasis on those 2 leagues. I went the other way. Like I've got more leagues than ever, but I did not do any 250 leagues. So all my leagues are mostly, it's a ton of like $20 leagues, and then some 50 and 100 mixed in. But I'm kind of with you on that, Ryan. Like I didn't do any big dollar leagues because I'm just like, I don't trust this,
I went big. I've got more $100 and $50 leagues I've ever had. I have more leagues than I've ever had, and I regret it.
I kind of do too.
I regret it. Like going through and like doing roster management.
Yes,
I was fine until people that I have got hurt. When Galladay got hurt, I'm like, which league do I have him in?
Yeah.
I regret it.
I don't know how you guys do it. Like I'm starting to get closer to my limit at I'm in like 7 or 8 right now, and I can't and my teams normally I'll have I got Travis Kelce on like 5 out of 8. Okay, I've got Cooper Kupp and 5 out of 8. I only have like 2 at max, 2 people in each league. I kind of took your advice of diversifying my portfolio to an extreme. And I'm like, I really don't know who I have anymore. I'm just like scrolling down the list, trying to see where my injury report is.
Yeah. I think I'm though, I realized I was going to be kind of less engaged with it this year than any other year, regardless of how many teams I had. Now, I don't mean like less engaged. Like I'll still, I'm still going to, play them, and I'm not, but I just mean like all the stuff going on in the world, all the stuff going on in my life. Like I just don't have the time to obsess over it regardless. And so, I just did a bunch of those little $20 leagues because I'm like, it's fine. They're, I think I can.
Fun. It was fun while we were quarantined to draft, right? Like that was the main.
Right.
Well, what do you think about DFS? Because that sort of brings the fun of drafting to every week. Are you guys going to be doing it? I was hoping to do something on Friday and just got way too busy. I haven't gotten into it yet.
Yeah, no, I love DFS. I got to tend to my dog for a second. I'll be right back.
Oh, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So for me, DFS is going to be interesting. I don't think so. Ryan says DFS will allow me not to get screwed by COVID announcement. I don't really know if that's true. Postponements. It might.
Like barring any team shutdown or something.
Well, there's still teams still get locked down at a certain point.
It'll be interesting because even with baseball, their teams are half the size of an NFL team, and they had 3 COVID breakouts over the season. Now you're doubling it to almost 60 players, not including coaches. The risk is definitely higher when you're having NFL teams. I've actually never done that much DFS, so
Mhm.
It'll be interesting now this year to figure out what's
I
going
felt
on.
like I got a little bit better at it last year. One of the things that I realized, and I want to talk about at some point, if we do DFS, I think we should probably do a DFS show every now and then, maybe rotate or something, but not doing just sticking to the cash leagues, they call them, where you just do 50-50s or, and doing, throwing a couple dollars here or there for the big
Payout.
tournament.
Yeah.
But
Go
ahead.
I was just gonna say that's the exciting and tempting thing about DFS, though. It's like I could win $100,000. And it feels like when you put. It's funny because when I put my players in, it feels like, okay, this one's gonna be the winner right here. And but if you think about it, like the odds against it are so, but still pretty big. But I don't play lottery or anything like that. So this is closest.
What is it called? What do they call them? They have a name for the big ones. The PP. I can't remember. There's cash leagues. There's cash games. And there's the guaranteed GPPs. The GPPs, guaranteed pot. So
okay. Yeah.
Those are the ones where you have thousands and thousands of people that are doing it, and you're one out of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you can make if you're in the top 100, you make it $100,000.
Well, yeah, not quite that.
But
much,
it goes down. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It goes down fast.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, we got. Oh wait, I'm way too far down. Thomas H says, boring game. You go back to the game. Texans stink. At least there weren't very many. Yeah, it's true. There weren't very many penalties.
Shockingly.
Nice.
Yeah, I was surprised.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then he says, would you start Moss over Singletary versus the Jets?
Ooh.
No.
Probably not. I wouldn't.
No, probably not. But there's no way to know. I feel like everyone apart from the Bills coaching staff is unqualified to answer that question, because you have no way to know what the usage is going to be like. I
can't know usage.
No, we go into a lot of games or most games having a better general idea, but there's some backfield situations starting out in week 1 where I'm just avoiding them completely because, with Moss or Singletary, you may not have that option, but you probably have to play one of those. But like the Rams situation, I have no idea how that's going to break down, and I'm not super confident that any one of them is going to get enough. So I'm going to avoid the Rams situation. Washington, places like that. So I would go with Singletary, but it could be Moss. Moss could end up with more points.
You know who is a lot like Singletary? CEH. And you know who has a offensive line a lot like the Chiefs? The Bills. The Bills' offensive line is going to look pretty good. I'm pretty sure. You might even be able to get away with putting both of them in
against the Jets potentially. I mean, I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We got a couple more comments, then we'll get on to some of the news, because the news is ripe. Geez, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Ryan says he's in one cash league and then a free league with us, I guess, or another league and a free league.
Playing me and Ryan week 1.
Ooh.
So.
That's why he's not bringing any advice here. He knows this one.
Ryan's actually favored over me by 6 points or something like that. So
interesting.
We'll see.
We got to keep people posted on how this goes. Oh my goodness.
So I'm not playing Jonathan Buster, but he was texting me the whole game, and before the game, he was bragging about how good Tyreek was going to do, and I was just loving it. Most of the game, Tyreek had not even a catch, and I kept texting him oh, how's Tyreek doing?
See, that was funny. It was a bunch of the guys in my group chat. I was talking to him during the game too, and there's one guy who's a Tyreek owner, and he's like, "Hill, I just need you to catch one ball, please." And then he saw the deep ball and went, "Me seeing Mahomes throws it deep," and it's the meme where it goes like, "This is how I win," and then he realized it was Demarcus Robinson. He immediately sent a text and said, "This is how I lose." And then he immediately saw it was reversed and sent it back. "This is how I win again." He was mad that whole game.
We have breaking news where the Vikings and Dalvin Cook just agreed to a 5-year contract extension.
Nice.
Wow.
Big year for
Okay,
him.
well, at least that's. I only have one. I have one Cook team, and that is the very last team. I did it on Tuesday. I got Cook. I said, "Let's go."
Yeah, I think I have one or two. Let's see, how many do I have? I have one. That's it. Just for him going around the same price as Henry and CEH and all these other guys. Like the injury risk was too much.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Jonathan says erroneous. Oh, no, it isn't. You know. All right, and let's see.
Yeah, I think we.
What's that?
No, I was just gonna.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No.
What?
I was just saying. I was just making sure you knew we had others before that. Yeah, we had other comments before that last one.
Yeah. I skipped ahead because it's about me. And Hurst versus Seattle or Higbee versus Dallas. Ooh, Tyler Boyd or Deontay Johnson. This is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely go Hurst. Deontay. What do you guys think?
Deontay for me, but I think it's tough because Hurst might get more targets. You don't know for sure if what happened with Higbee last year is going to extend on. I don't think Seattle was very good against tight ends last year either, but I know the Cowboys weren't. I would go Higbee by a hair, but I would be completely fine. It's almost a coin flip. I would be fine with either of those guys. But yeah, I'd rather have Deontay against that Giants secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with I'll start with Boyd and Deontay. Even with the loss of Derwin James, they still have Chris Harris there, and Casey Hayward, I think it is, on the other side, and that is frightening. And I know Burrow and Boyd have apparently had a great training camp together, but even AJ Green is 100%. Take that with a grain of salt.
Whatever that
but
means.
yeah. And so and especially with LAC's defensive line, I'd go Deontay because the Giants defense just reads points to me all day, unless Ben Roethlisberger gets injured again, which apparently he'd been having arm issues for 14 years. But I'd probably go Deontay and then maybe Higbee.
AJ Green's like a 6-year-old iPhone where you charge it up and it's at like 100%. And then like 12 minutes later, you look and it's down to like 73%.
Yep. That's the best analogy ever. Oh, man.
Let's see. Let's skip ahead to Ryan real quick. I guess my only question is, he does have you've got the question. Montgomery or Anthony Miller or Bourne? I think we saw that there is news that what's his name? This gets into the news of whether or not 49ers are even going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. What do you?
This is a tough one. Yeah, there's a lot of. Well, I mean, the only I guess the surest thing you have there in terms of the guy playing is Anthony Miller because Bourne, we don't know what's going to happen with the Giants game or the 49ers game. If it's going to get moved or what. Montgomery is questionable. So it's tough without knowing exactly what's going to happen with Montgomery. Like if Montgomery plays, I always tend to kind of lean towards running backs if if I know a guy's going to get a fair amount. But the fact that he's hurt, I don't know. I'm just talking through that in my head. So
Yeah, no, that's good.
If somebody else has a prediction, I need another minute on mine.
What do you think, AJ? You're the Bears guy. Come on.
I know, and I'm also the one who watched David Montgomery run straight into a sea of 7 defenders because their offensive line was a mess last year, who averaged 20 yards a possession. Anyway, I have Montgomery in like one league, and I'm also trying to decide whether I want to use him on a flex. I mean, Miller, I'm not as big on him as other people are, and so I'd probably go Miller. And look, if Montgomery was healthy, I would go 100% Montgomery because he's playing a Lions defense who has never been that good. And Darius Slay is also gone from Detroit now. So, I mean, maybe Miller's an even better pick at this point. And then it comes down to the other two. Debo's definitely out this week. If he was even questionable, that'd make me worry about Bourne. Ayuk isn't going to play. If the 49ers play, I would probably go Miller and Bourne, especially if it's half-point PPR, because even if they each get a couple catches, that's still a couple more points. I don't know. I'll say Miller and Jason. I mean Kendrick Bourne.
I'm totally in on Bourne. If they play tomorrow. Now that's a real question whether they play or not tomorrow. What do you think?
Is Ayuk definitely out, or I guess he still says he's questionable.
Really? I thought I saw somewhere that he was out.
Unless it just like his little Yahoo thing's not updated.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
He's still questionable.
That's what kind of scares me about Bourne is 49ers being a run first team, still having George Kittle as the number one option, still having maybe Ayuk in there. We don't know. So, I mean, Bourne could be the third option in, a run first, the third passing option in a run first offense. And really, I mean, just where he made his living last year was getting a touchdown. He had one game where he had more than 42 yards. It was really eerie, like how many games he landed like right at 40, like over the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So over the last 10 games, he had 42 yards in 3 of those, and he had 40 yards in another, 6, 29, 11, 18. So he was very, very, very touchdown dependent. And it's his third, going into his 4th season. So I'm not that big on him. He could blow up, but I think if they say Montgomery's going to get like a fairly reasonable load, they feel good about his health. I would probably go Montgomery and Miller.
Check Sunday morning, figure out his health. If he's not 100%, go Kendrick.
I think I just go Bourne. Just put Bourne in. Just hope he has a nose for the end zone. Gets touchdowns. Just hope for a touchdown. I mean, is your flex? I'm guessing it's your flex. That'd be too bad.
I think it is.
Thomas H says Woods or Gallup. Ooh, that's tough. Full PPR.
Woods.
Woods for me. Dak doesn't do as well on the road. And then another little update that says the Saints and Alvin Kamara are finalizing his extension.
Yes. Can't way more about that.
Yeah, back to that though. Yeah, Dak tends to be a little more iffy on the roads. I don't know why I keep saying roads. Maybe I'm thinking of yeah. All right, we've got woods and roads leading to the woods. Yeah, Dak is just a little more iffy away from home. I'm not sure how the target share is going to break down between those guys. Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. I would go Woods. I mean, I think Woods is more of like the number 1 or number 2 passing option, whereas Galloway, is he going to be the 2? Is he going to be the 3? So
Gallup, yeah. I don't know. I think I go ahead, AJ.
Sorry, no. I actually need to look something up. You go ahead.
Okay, I just like Gallup's talent better. I think Woods is solid, but I'm more of a gambling man. I go with. I mean, they both are going to contend for touches. You got Kupp and Higbee. Who knows what else there is there that's going to start? It's just hard to tell. I like the talent of Dak better than I do of Goff, and I like the talent of Gallup. Although it is full point PPR.
Yeah,
I feel like you definitely have a good floor with Robert Woods.
You do. I mean, he was having some big like monster like target games last season. I think full point PPR also makes the difference for me on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I probably would for full point. Although it's hard. I don't know.
And here's Dak's home road split from last year. Home 2,620 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 INTs. Away, the yardage wasn't tremendously different, 2,282, but 10 touchdowns, 4 INTs. So barely over a touchdown per game on the road.
Yeah, this is Woods for me, and it's not even close, partially because for some reason, I cannot go without one of my teams just bombing on week 1, and I'm really hoping that doesn't happen.
Weird.
I get screwed over in week 1. I've gotten screwed over so many years. Like Big Ben goes down. That screwed over 3 Juju leagues for me last year. Allen Robinson one time when he signed a contract with the Jaguars immediately tore his ACL in week 1 year. Like I have a bad history of week 1s. And so I'm really hoping to change that this year because I always have to make the playoffs at like 9-5 or something like that. So for me, week 1 is about his consistency and the knowledge. I don't try to go for upside picks early. I said that last podcast too. And just with Dallas having Gallup and Cooper and Jarwin and CeeDee and Zeke and Dak can even run if he needs to. It's too many. And it's funny because they're actually playing each other. But I'd go Woods because I just know he's going to get 10 points. And if he gets to the end zone, that's 16 points. That only happens like 3 times a year, but
right.
Robert Woods is so safe in PPR. It's too much for me to pass up.
Well, another thing we forgot to talk about, one thing that my biggest takeaway from the game on Thursday was the crowd. That crowd was amazing. It was so loud
for the number of people there. Yeah, I mean,
it was just as loud as a normal. Now I think they didn't have the same stamina that a full crowd would have because they kind of tapered off second half. But they were loud enough. They were loud enough to disrupt the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad we had a crowd for that first game, and now I'm curious to see like how weird is it going to be since the vast majority of stadiums are not going to have people. I don't know. I wonder maybe if some of them, because a lot of them have just decided to not do it for like the first 2 weeks and then they'll reevaluate or something. I wonder if maybe some of them will let just like 3,000 fans in, or like I think the Colts are doing some ridiculous number, like 2,500 fans is all that can come in or something like that. Like, okay. But actually that one will be kind of interesting to watch because we'll see, like, does that even make a big difference? Does like 2,500 fans sparsely, sort of sprinkled in across, 80,000 seats or whatever, does that still make a huge difference between that and 0 fans?
What's your guys' go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say which makes me curious about how the artificial crowd noise is going to work too.
Mhm.
To figure out, like, is it just better to not, like, I mean, if you're the team and you're thinking maybe it's better to pump in artificial noise and make it tough. I know there's a limit of like 75 decibels or something, how loud you can make it.
Wow.
But is your team a business, or is your team trying to stop the other team from scoring? That's my question.
It'd be kind of funny if like they still do the, it's third down. Let's make some noise,
Yeah.
and then it's like just that's the cue to the guy in the
Yes.
booth to like crank the dial up a little bit more. That's
Cecil
Yeah.
Lammey from the football guys said that he was at one of the college games or something like that, and he
Mhm.
heard the pumped in music or pumped in noise. He said the weirdest thing was the woo guy. It's like woo, woo, woo. He came in at like random times. He
Oh,
said it was
that's
a little
awesome.
strange. What's your over under for how many weeks it takes to everybody to go full stadium?
Everybody?
never
It
probably.
could take Chicago 3 years.
I mean,
I think I give it 9 weeks.
but no, I think some places have already announced that they will not have fans for the season.
I think they'll reverse it when they see.
Mm.
I think they'll reverse it. But so you're
Yeah.
saying never. So
No,
Washington-
I don't mean
Washington is currently
never.
not
I
allowing
mean
spectators.
I mean never within this season.
not. That's what I mean. You're saying not the season. I think
Yeah,
I give it
don't.
9 weeks.
No. I'll bet you money on that if you want to.
9 weeks. $20.
Done.
All right.
Digital handshake.
Digital handshake.
So I didn't accept his challenge on the on our league for week 1, but I also have Mike Evans in that league
Well,
Yep.
let's get to the. Well, do we have any more?
Yes, we do.
We have one more, 2 more. We do have. Juan says, "Good podcast, guys. Thank you, Juan.
Thanks.
for tuning in.
That is actually my Spanish teacher.
Nice. Hey,
He's
let's
actually-
get to. We'll get to the other ones. Let's get to the news first, because some of the news will cover this. I feel like it's. Might as well just talk about the news, because there are some important things. Speaking of Evans.
News in the NFL today.
So, the main thing that we have to talk about the main people we have to talk about are a few wide receivers that are in major question.
Yeah.
Why don't we just hit the wide receivers all together? Well, so we have Galladay. We have who else do we have? We have Evans
and Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton. 3 big top 3, right?
I think those are the 3. Well, Debo's already ruled out, and I think everybody else that I'm thinking of is kind of like a lower tier down in terms of they're not on those guys' level.
So Evans, well, specifically Galladay and Sutton are 2 that we've talked a lot about on this podcast. That was a big hit.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Galladay was a huge hit, and Sutton too.
Mm.
Although Sutton was a lower price, so I
Yeah.
had feelings for Sutton. Galladay was a high price to see him go down. So I'm glad to hear. From what I hear, it's just a sprain. He's going, or wait, no, that was Sutton. Galladay is just a hammy, and they're just being extra precautious. He'll probably just only be out a week. If he's out.
Hamstrings worry me. Like, man, I dealt with Adam Thielen last year. Actually, it seems like there's a Viking that has a hamstring issue every year. Like last year, it was Adam Thielen that like, oh, he's going to be back. And then he misses like 6 games. I think the year before was Dalvin Cook, where, he had come back from his torn ACL his rookie year, and then he got the hamstring that year and missed a ton of games. And so hamstring injuries really worry me because they're so easy. Like they think like, okay, they're good. And then they come back and pull it,
Re-pull it. Yeah.
Evans, Mike Evans.
He's been
That
upgraded. Wait,
been
sorry.
yeah, Evans has been upgraded to questionable. But that's the injury that ended his season last year, you know.
Yeah.
So hamstring injuries worry me.
AJ?
This is annoying to me. I actually, it's shocking. I don't know if I have Galladay anywhere, and I like love having him on my team, which is weird for me. And then I got Sutton in a couple places, and now I got to think about him, which could be huge for Judy this week, who I also really, really liked, and also Noah Fant. They could be just explosive week one. And then you got stinking Mike Evans, man, and I was already worried about him. And I don't know, maybe it was one of you guys, maybe it was someone on the radio, maybe it was one of my friends who texted me. I can't remember, but they said if Evans is healthy, that means he's a decoy for week one. And just the possibility of that really scares me. Because now I'm like,
it doesn't help, right? Like, it's
right,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Unless
makes
it's like full healthy, he's a full go.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it makes it even more confusing. And the thing with Evans too is like he just has a weird history with the Saints. And is Lattimore still there this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
down for the last 3 years or something like that. 2 years.
Yeah, last year in New Orleans, that first game, which was October 6th, Mike Evans had 0 catches, 3 targets. He put up a goose egg. So he just and the next game, I think he had like 4 catches for 60 something yards. He has, he's had, games before where he's blown up against them. But just a lot of times, going back. So 2018, he had a big game against him. Then going back to 2017, he had 1 catch for 6 targets, 1 catch and 13 yards in New Orleans. So I don't like anything about Mike Evans' situation.
And I think this just reflects how I was already worried about the Bucs week one because nobody knows how they were going to look. At least with Jameis, you knew someone was going to get 2 touchdowns in the game, right? But now it's like, oh, maybe Godwin could have a good big game. Or nope, it could be Gronk. Or nope, maybe they play OJ Howard more. Or nope, maybe Scotty Miller comes out underneath and scores 2 touchdowns this game. Yeah. Nothing is for certain with Tampa in week one. Like, it's going to be really telling to see how their offense is going to run after this week finishes.
Yeah, I think out of all 3 of those, Evans, Galladay, and Sutton's on Monday. It's kind of like, I ain't touching it. Just put him on the bench.
Unless you have like Jerry Jeudy, as a backup. I have Jeudy in a couple leagues where I have Sutton, but yeah, other than that, like you can't wait around till Monday, like crossing your fingers on that.
I mean, I guess you could gamble. I thought about it, but it just doesn't feel like a great payoff. And then Galladay, I just think they're going to hold him out. I guess I kind of hope, as a Galladay truther, I hope they hold him out this week. Not truther, but like I have a lot of Galladay, and so I hope they hold him out this week because I don't want him to re-injure it. I want them to hold him out until he's like, my hamstrings feel like I have the Hulk down there holding my legs together. I don't know. I just, it scared me when I heard that he went down. So I think we've talked a lot about it. Do you guys? We haven't really talked though about Galladay. Do you guys think this helps anybody else? I know you're a big Marvin Jones guy, AJ.
Yes, and I think
you're like fire up to Marvin Jones.
Oh yeah, because he's like normally my late season play, but for me it's like Galladay's down week one. Ooh, I got a flex option now. I think that's huge, and especially if the Bears defense stops them for the first half of the game or they have trouble getting into the end zone, that's Stafford's number 1 target there. MJJ's been there for like 4 seasons now in Detroit. If Galladay goes down, Marvin Jones is the best option. Worst case scenario, he gets doubled up by Fuller and, I don't know, Eddie Jackson or something like that.
And then,
that's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, Lions go down like early, and then they start pulling out garbage time points and Marvin.
Mm.
That's like, I think that's the worst case scenario is it goes down to the wire and nobody scores any points, which, I mean, that could be very possible in a Detroit-Chicago game. But I like Marvin Jones as a flex option, especially if it's one of those leagues where Mike Evans went down. I really like Marvin Jones. Okay, that's my Marvin Jones rant for the day. Someone else talk.
Yeah, my receivers are interesting. I have I don't have very many shares of any like top tier receiver. You know, I have one share of Michael Thomas. I have a few, I think like 4 of Devontae, a couple of Julio, none of Tyreek, none of OBJ, 1 of DeAndre, Juju. How many do I have? Juju, a handful of Juju. So most of my receivers, kind of the way I really drafted on them, was taking guys, you know, in the middle rounds and stocking up on, you know, a lot of different guys like, Sutton. Yeah. Especially like, you know, especially the cheaper guys, I have a lot of shares of like AJ Green and Sutton, Michael Gallup. Those are probably, I probably have the most shares of Green, Sutton, Gallup. And then everybody else, all my other receivers are just kind of, you know, sprinkled in here and there. So, that's my phone.
Yeah, and Ridley, do you have a lot of Ridley? I know I have.
I ended up actually not getting a ton of Ridley either. Like 4, you know, so I was looking through and like, yeah, really apart from, you know, the guys I mentioned, like having a ton of them, like I don't have a ton of anybody. It's like, you know, 4 shares or 0 maybe depending on who it is. So I don't know. I always kind of wait to see if somebody breaks out. Let's see me have Robert Woods. I have 3, 4, just 4 of Woods. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not really, you know, hurting too badly on those because I just didn't Galladay. As much as I like Galladay, I felt like somebody like Chark or DK Metcalf or Sutton could kind of be this year's Galladay. You know, Galladay is not like a target reception monster, you know. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out, but I'm not, he losing him hurts me in a couple leagues. Same thing with Mike Evans, but for the most part, I'm okay.
All right. Well, I think we've talked enough about them. There is some other news. I just got Buster just sent me a thing about what's his name? Tennessee's first round pick, Isaiah Wilson, getting a DUI.
Yeah,
that's not good. Another offensive line guy down for Titans. It's looking good for my Henry hate, but it's not looking good for the Titans, and it's not looking good. I don't like that for all the shares of AJ Brown I have too.
Yeah. Not ideal. I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. You know, I'm sure he's going to be looking at disciplinary action from the NFL. So I don't know if that's going to be, you know, 4 games or 3 games or what, but yeah, we'll see.
Well, he's definitely going to be there for week 1. I have been trying so hard to trade. I can't trade away my one share. You know, I think it's because my one share of Henry, I have in a league where they're vetoing every trade. I realize it wasn't just our trade. They've been vetoing every trade.
What?
But
which league is
really
this?
frustrating. Yeah. It's just a Yahoo Pro League.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I don't like the way Yahoo handles that. They're supposed to have like a protest system, but it just if you get like 4 vetoes, then
it's half the league, isn't it? Is it half or is it 4?
No, it's 4 vetoes.
4?
I think it's 4. Yeah. So it still gets, so the protest system really is just almost pointless. You know, you might as well just, you know, say that it's a veto system, because that's what it is. That's what they originally had. And they're like, oh, we're going to this protest system. Yeah, they don't have people really. It's just like, oh, 4 people vetoed it. Okay, well, veto.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Well, what do you guys think? Are the Titans now? See, it's interesting because the Titans are playing the banged up
Broncos.
Broncos. Thank you. So this could be an interesting game. I think it could be a very boring game if there's not a lot of scoring. What do you guys think?
Is it the only? Usually they do 2 Monday night games. Is it the only? No. There's them and this. Is Pittsburgh, New York? But are they both Monday night or is one Sunday?
That sounds right. That sounds right.
After that, yeah, Pittsburgh, New York, Monday night.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll be interested. Just, I mean, because it's a Monday night game. That's something you can just kind of have on in the background. So I'll have players going. So, you know, I don't need it to be terribly exciting. I'll be watching though.
Anything, AJ? You're a big Broncos guy.
Yeah. So first off, Isaiah Wilson, from Georgia fan to former Georgia Bulldog. Please get it together. Please. Next, I think. See, it's really. Oh man, first week I was really excited to see this go down because, like, okay, you got Derrick Henry and going up against like Von Miller and healthy Bradley Chubb, and Cortland Sutton's back, and Jerry Judy's back, and now Sutton's out, and now the Titans' offensive line is banged up, and now Von Miller's out, and I don't know what to think of the game anymore. This could be a huge Derrick Henry game for sure. And then you've got Drew Lock coming in with Noah Fant, but maybe no Sutton. And the game, I think this is probably going to look more in like the 20-point range for both teams, like a 24-28 game, something like that. I mean, I'm excited for it because I've been a Denver supporter since the offseason. So I don't know. I'm excited for it, but I'm trying to temper my expectations just in case.
It's going to be like 15-12. It's going to be like 5 field. The Broncos just signed Brandon McManus to an extension. Yes. And then, you know, the Titans signed Steven Gostkowski in the offseason. So it's going to be like 15-12 with just, you know, like 9 field goals.
Yeah, of course.
I'm really tempted to go out and get McManus because I do think I do like the defensive lines on both sides.
Yeah.
I did like Denver's.
Yeah.
Not that bad. Yeah. Okay, so one thing that we didn't hit about, I forgot about Golladay, is Hawkinson. Is it smash that Hawkinson time or what? Is this the breakout of Hawkinson?
I'm using him in some daily leagues, and I'm trying to roster him in any place that I can put him in season leagues, because I don't know if he'll keep that up for the whole season, but you know, kind of like last year where he had a huge week 1. I think he had 100 yards and maybe 2 touchdowns in week 1. Yeah. He might be, you know, he's worth picking up to see if he can keep it up, or if, you know, he can be trade bait, although, you know, a lot of good tight ends out there. So I don't know how easy he's going to be to trade after week 1. But yeah, I like him in DFS, and I'm trying to put him on my bench if I have a spot anywhere.
I don't know. I was never a huge Hawkinson fan last year, and I've never been a huge proponent of Lions tight ends for a while. But, I mean, with Golladay down, I think Hawkinson could have a good game, and I think it all comes down to how well the Bears linebackers end up covering him in deep coverage if they drop him back. I think he's a decent play in deeper leagues for sure. I don't know if it's a smash that Hawkinson moment, smash Hawkinson button moment, but I I think it's interesting. I would start him in some places. I don't personally have him anywhere because he got injured year one, of course, and that immediately set red flags off in my head. But I think he's worth a start if you've got him in deeper leagues.
The other tight end that we've talked a little bit about because of me taking him in the 5th round or something was Will Dissly is 100%. Do you guys have any? Is that a DFS? Of course, he's on the waiver wire everywhere, including where I took him in our listener league. Is any interest in some Dissly? Getting dizzy with some Dissly?
No, that's not a DFS. That's a DNC. A do not care.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to see him getting. I'm gonna have to see him getting a fair amount of targets before I bother with him. I mean, Greg Olson's there, and yeah, you can't count on Greg Olson's health, but you can't count on Seahawks tight ends' health in general. Dissly now didn't Dissly tear his ACL 2 years, or was it just the 1 year?
I think it's just one.
No, he played 4 games in 2018. I think that was when he tore an ACL then too. Didn't he?
Patellar tendon injury.
Okay. So in 2 years he's played 10 games. So yeah. You know.
Well, you notice I didn't go and pick him up again. So I'm not. I am watching him though. I put a little star on him. Watch how that goes. Now, another interesting injury that people have been watching is the Miles Sanders hammy. It feels like everybody has a hammy this year.
Yes.
What are we doing about Miles Sanders? Are we just sticking? I have a lot of Scott, and I'm happy about that for week 1. But I'm also, what do we do about Miles Sanders? He was supposed to be this first round talent, or upper second round talent. Any worries about that?
Yeah, I have several shares of him, so I have worries about that. Yeah. I hope he's not 2018 Dalvin Cook here. We'll see. Washington's a pretty good matchup this week.
Mm-hmm.
I drafted him as, to get him, you normally would have had to draft him as a 2nd round pick. So he's going to be in lineups for me if he's in there. So.
Okay. What do you think, AJ?
I know he's questionable. And what really stinks, it's like he couldn't have gotten injured week 1 against like the Saints or something, or the Bucks or someone with a good front 7. He had to get injured in one of his games against Washington of all teams. He's listed as questionable. I check it Sunday morning and see what they're saying. Maybe they'll say what his workload looks like or whether he's at 80% or anything like that. I think he's still worth a play. I think it's worrying to me, but it doesn't look serious yet. Yet being the major word in that sentence, but I'm playing. I actually just checked. I actually don't have him anywhere, shockingly, but I think he's still a go for me. Just to monitor him, especially Sunday morning, see what they're saying.
I think like it's just going to be probably injury worries for me all season because it's like Miles Sanders. I took a fair amount of Connor for being able to get him for like $22, $23 when people were, starting to say like, oh, looks like he's going to be the feature back again. So, even with the injury concerns for that amount, now I stopped taking him towards my last several drafts because he started going up to like 35. He was going up to like Eckler money, like getting close to like some of these guys of Jacobs, Drake, some of those guys. But still, I ended up with, how many shares of Connor did I end up with? Like 9. So
that's more than the amount of leagues I have.
Right. So, but
that is a lot.
We'll see what happens. I hope he Maybe when things settle out a little bit, I can pick up Snell in some leagues.
Yeah, that might be a good pickup. Well, we did have some stardom situms, and Ryan was talking about how it's getting kind of hard to figure out who to put in that flex with all these injuries.
And
Ryan
then,
also asked-
you know there are owners out there that have like Galladay, Evans, Sutton was their like two receivers and their flex that they were planning for, and they're just hating fantasy football already.
Yeah. Well, it might be good to talk about some of the replacements that are out there on the waiver wire for these guys. And Paris Campbell is somebody you can get off the waiver wire that would be worth picking up. Would you play him over James Washington or Curtis Samuel? Yes, Curtis Samuel for me, but I don't know. These are three guys that would be good replacements. What do you guys think?
These guys are there, and
They're definitely on the waiver wire.
yeah, exactly. Samuel is a bench stash for me. Like he's a guy you can get in late rounds for almost nothing. He's a bench stash for me. Washington's playing third fiddle right now in Pittsburgh behind what's called Juju and Deontay. I mean, yes, he could become the number 2.
We don't know Deontay's. Is he full go for sure?
I think he is. Let me
still
double
got
check
a questionable tag, but maybe not.
Anyway, even if he's not, and then the other thing that worries me that I think could be a sneaky tight end play for the rest of the year. Steelers have been raving about Ebron in practice, and I know we've heard that story before, but Ben likes his tight ends. This could be Heath Miller, but just all over again. So that worries me. And then Paris Campbell, I mean, there's Pittman, there's Ty in a run first offense. I had Paris and Zach Pascal last year, and even though that was Brissett, it's still a no for me. So I'd go Samuel as a bench stash with Washington, but I wouldn't start any of those this week.
Nah, I don't love any of them. If there was somebody like if Brian Edwards was out there, I would like him over all those guys.
Djax.
Djax for 1 week, yeah. Lazard, maybe if he was out there. I'm not big on any of those guys because I mean, at least I guess Samuel is technically the 2. Well, no, they got Robbie Anderson, and so so all of those guys are iffy as to whether or not they're even like the third option in their respective offense.
Robbie Anderson might be on the waiver wire. I saw him on several of mine and thought about picking him up. I think I would do Robbie Anderson over all three of those guys as a replacement for, say, if you needed a last minute replacement for Evans. What about Rager?
That's interesting.
Because he's on almost all my waiver wires.
Yeah. Jared, I know he's your guy.
Yeah, I like him. I'd like him better if he wasn't hurt, but it looks like he's going to be good enough to go. So,
yeah. Do you think he'll be on a snap count?
It's hard. It's hard to say. He doesn't even have. I guess he was a full practice participant Friday. I don't know. It's hard to know even if he'll be
as a rookie.
Yeah, even for sure, like the starter opposite, Djax. So
yeah, and if Djax or Rager are both on the waiver wire, I do tend to think for a 1 week replacement, the Djax is kind of better. I think I would pick up Djax for this week. I'd pick up Rager to go, just to see what he does going forward.
Right.
Thomas H says Wentz versus Washington or Cam versus Miami. To me, this is an easy Cam pick. I am playing him in several places where I kind of wish I had played him over Mahomes. Mahomes he had a decent game, but I had the choice against Jared to play Cam. I'm wishing I had done that for the upside. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like Cam. Wentz in Washington. Some of those NFC East games can get weird. I feel like it's either probably going to be like crazy high scoring or just like crazy low scoring.
Yeah.
And you don't really know which way it's going to go. I feel like the Patriots will still beat up on the Dolphins in Foxborough. I like Cam. Yeah, I'm actually playing Cam over Kyler Murray in a league because Kyler Murray's just that game we're talking about, the San Francisco game, but not even anything to do with the potential of it getting postponed or moved or whatever. Just the fact that he's up against that San Francisco defense. So.
What do you think,
Wentz had I think one big game again. One of his 2 games was big against Washington, and Wentz is probably one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. Or wait, maybe that wasn't last year. I can't remember. Wentz is definitely one of the more underrated quarterbacks last year. Okay, so he had 3 touchdowns in both games against Washington last year, which. I mean, they couldn't even catch the football last year. So I like Wentz. Like I said, I'm a safe week 1 kind of guy. But if you are looking for upside, I think Cam's definitely an interesting pick. I know Edelman, he's good to go apparently, which, wow, that's really nice to know for me. So I'm a little bit inclined to go Cam here, I think. I like Wentz a lot against Washington, though. If I had them both, personally, I might go Wentz because 3 touchdowns in back-to-back Washington games last year is hard to deny, but I like Cam as an upside pick. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
Maybe
we do love our new.
Maybe Ron Rivera improved that defense.
True.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We love our new coach over there, and I think that it's hard to tell what they're going to be as a team, Washington.
Yeah.
Was there? Oh, and the last thing was that Buster said. Oh wait, no, we already said that. Yeah, he's streaming Titans D. He wants a boring game over there. Titans D is an interesting one. They picked up what's his name,
Clowney.
Yeah.
Clowney, and they're playing next week. They're playing the Jacksonville Do Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with them, but yeah, it's probably a good chance that it's good to stream against Jacksonville. Your defense.
Mm-hmm. I like the Titans defense as almost a year-long play, not even so much a streaming defense, honestly.
Yeah. I picked them up a couple places.
Yeah. I mean, AFC South, they get Houston twice, they get Jacksonville twice. So, yeah.
Fire them up. Now, the last piece of news that that I wanted to talk about was the fires, and I was trying to stall to see if there's any more news, but there just isn't a lot of news coming out about it because it's just kind of holding and waiting. I saw that they're looking for the air quality index to go down. Right now, it's too high, but of course, these are the teams that don't play till Monday, but that makes it even more frustrating since that's a lot of fantasy options that we have to wait till Monday.
Well, no, I thought they played. Are you talking about San Francisco and Arizona?
They play Sunday, I think.
They play Sunday.
Oh, that's right. They play. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking they're playing Monday. You're right. They play Sunday. Who plays Monday that we were talking about? Who played New York?
Broncos.
Pittsburgh and Broncos.
Pittsburgh Broncos and then Giants, Steelers.
So they play tomorrow. Okay, good. That makes me feel a little bit better. Well, what are you doing with your Kittles and who else? Who they playing? Who's
DeAndre Hopkins? Well, guys, we talked about Kendrick Bourne maybe, and then
you brought up,
of course, all the Cardinals, Kyler, like I said, Hopkins, Drake, Kenyon Drake. I mean.
Most of a lot of fantasy plays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not benching Kittle. I think I'll have to read up on it to see if there's any danger of them trying to postpone it to another week or something. But as long as they're gonna play it somehow, somewhere, then I'm gonna have those guys, even if it's in smoke. I'm putting Kittle in there.
No,
I have 0 shares of Kittle. I think I maybe have one. Unfortunately, I wish I had one. It just never happened. I think I might have 1, maybe 2 shares of Mostert. I think probably 1. I don't think I have any shares of any of their wide receivers. As much as I praise Hopkins, I don't even think I have him anywhere. The only person that affects me here is Kenyon Drake, and he was already questionable going into the week. Man, I hope this doesn't end up like last year where I think it was Miami and Tampa had to cancel their week 1 game. Was it last year? They had to play 16 weeks because of the hurricane. Was that it last year?
Yeah.
I hope it's not another one of those situations.
Can you remind me what happened? I was talking before we got on the air. I was talking to Jared about that. Do you remember what happened? Did they postpone it a whole week and then all fantasy points didn't count or something, or what happened?
I think you mean for last year during the game?
Yeah.
I think since they I think they just made that both teams bye weeks and they moved each team's bye week to week 1 instead. And I think they just did 0 points for that game, I think.
But we had a little bit more. I think we had way more time to react, or at least a day or two, right?
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. At this point, it may be may only have hours.
Sunday morning, 11:59 before the roster locks in.
Yeah, and I mean it's in San Francisco, so it's going to be a 4:00, game.
Yeah.
So, I guess you better have some. Anybody who's got some of those players had better have a pretty good idea, I guess, at least even for your 1:00 game, because if you have another option at running back, then, you might can throw them in then. Same at quarterback and stuff like that. But yeah, Kittle and Kenyon Drake would be the big ones for me, which Kittle, I mean, there's a ton of good tight ends out there that I could, but the problem is I would probably have to drop someone I didn't want to drop in order to pick another tight end up, maybe to throw them in, because I don't keep 2 tight ends on a lot of my rosters. So
what's interesting, I do have a lot of 2 tight ends.
I think that's the reason he said that sentence.
Yeah. I actually have 3 tight ends on a lot of my rosters. I've got, especially since Galladay went down, I've picked up a lot of Hawkinson and Fant. So there's a lot of places I can play Fant or Hawkinson instead of him. I just would rather not. I would rather not.
Right. Yeah. Fant's probably, well, I'd have to look to see how many he's out there on, but he would be a good one. I mean, since he's playing Monday night, since Cortland Sutton is probably going to be out. Let's see how many. No, actually, Fant's gone in most of my leagues. He's 79% owned. So never mind.
Yeah,
never mind that.
Down. Everybody went out and got. I know I did. So Jonathan Buster says Rams and Cowboys might be affected too. I guess that's true. That's in California.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that would be bad.
If Kittle was out, going back to the Kittle thing, you could, since it's Titans, Broncos, Jonnu Smith would be another option at tight end for a late game. But I'm sure they'll make that decision, I would think earlier tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look here. Man, it's funny that all the news is more about San Francisco. If both of those games are postponed, it's going to make fantasy football. There's going to be a lot of support for the people that are saying this is, a terrible year to be in fantasy football.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I tend to I just played, even though I didn't want to put big money down, I just played a lot because I think I tend to adjust well to stuff. And so it's just all right, here's the next thing the apocalypse is throwing at us. So just roll with it.
Roll with it. I think that's a lot of what we've had to do and what we're going to have to do this year. Do you guys have any other input, any other news out there that you're interested in? Players that you're worried about for tomorrow?
We doing any stardom situms like beyond the questions we got?
What we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Do you guys have any Star Sims? Other than we've already talked about Singletary. I had some questions about Rager. Not well, Pittman. I'm really tempted to put two people, Pittman and Burkhead, are two guys that to put in as a flex, especially with so many wide receivers down. Pittman has been. I've been eyeing him since I have him on most of my leagues. Well, a fair amount of them, and thinking about putting him as a replacement for Galladay or Sutton. What do you guys think about? Would that be a viable replacement? My only worry is that if they're going to crush Jacksonville so bad that it's just going to be all run.
That's my worry from the start of it, because I've got one league where I got to decide, do I want to start Stafford against Chicago, or do I want to start Phillip Rivers against Jacksonville, where it could just be the Mack and Taylor show the entire day. And that's my main concern there. I think Mack and Taylor are nice flex plays, especially in like 12-team leagues. I think they're golden flex plays. But then you look at like T.Y., not Paris, and Pittman. It's like, are they even going to need to throw the ball at all?
Yeah, I think they will. I think they're definitely going to. You got to get touchdowns one way or another if you're going to be way ahead.
Yeah. I don't think they'll just pack it in and run the ball. I think they'll use it as an opportunity to try to get those young, even if it's a blowout, to get some of those young receivers some balls and stuff like that. So. So I guess my stardoms, I'll just run down. Well, okay. I don't know if it's most of these guys aren't really like I'm not going too deep with most of these. I think we've already talked about most of these, but maybe a couple of guys that are a little bit lower in the rankings than I think they should be is like Josh Allen against the Bills. Against the Jets. That's a pretty good matchup for him. People are worried about, Todd Gurley, and I don't know what we're going to get out of Todd Gurley, but, with all the other situations out there that are sort of shaky in terms of, players that are injured or, players that you're not sure what their share is going to be. It looks like Todd Gurley is at least going to be the featured back in Atlanta. Yeah. Seahawks aren't a terribly intimidating matchup. It's in Atlanta, so I like Gurley. And then a couple of situms. Devontae Parker. I never like a team's number one wide receiver against the Patriots, and another one would be. Like people are, I already said Kyler. I'm not going to start Kyler against San Francisco, depending on what your other options are. But I'd also be kind of cautious with Hollywood Brown too. Like people are, expecting him to, break out in his second season. I think it's still going to be kind of boom or bust. And Cleveland's secondary is not bad. So I would be careful. If I had a better option over him, I would sit him, I think.
Biggest
AJ
for my stardom sims, you mean? Biggest stardom of the week, James White. And there's no Sony, there's no Damian Harris. Cam's going to be throwing the ball to Edelman, and apparently he's been dumping it a lot off in practice. Guess who that means? James White.
Sexy PPR
play. No. I really like James White this week, and Edelman to a certain extent as well. And I mean, they could not have gotten, it's one of the softest defenses they could have gotten to start off their year too, in just Miami out of all people. And I like him. like Jonathan Buster said, I like the Titans defense a lot just for the entire season, pretty much. I think Philadelphia is also really, really good if for some reason they're on your waiver wire. Jerry Jeudy nowadays could be a nice flex play if you've got Mike Evans out. Cough, cough, me. And other than that, I don't really have any major sit-ems, I don't think. I can check real quick. Yeah, most of mine are more bench deeper plays. I think Mac is interesting week 1. I think Mac is definitely interesting to me. Montgomery's probably a sit-em for me. Anyone except Hopkins and Drake and Murray in Arizona's a sit-em for me. Yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, also, all Tampa Bay running backs, sitting all of them. I'm not going there. And also, I found myself sitting Gordon a little bit. Not so much that he's a sit-em, but I've got like wide receivers, Shark and Diggs that I can put ahead of him.
Well,
I'm more comfortable with that.
I'm with you. I'm looking at. He's in my flex right now. I'm thinking. I get scared. And I'm thinking
that trade, like week 1 for us, that trade we made is not working out terribly well for either one of us because I traded him Mike Evans for I traded him Melvin Gordon for Mike Evans. So then now I don't want to play Evans even if he starts, and then Judah's like, I probably don't want to play Melvin Gordon. So we just completely did not help ourselves with that trade.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you guys think about AJ Brown? Because that's who I would put in instead of a lot of these guys. I'm not feeling kind of what you said about Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, right.
I'm feeling about AJ Brown. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I feel, of course, better about AJ Brown than Hollywood Brown, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind. Let's see how many teams I have AJ Brown on and where I'm starting him. But yeah, he's another one of those guys that my preference is to kind of see what he gets week 1 and then start him from there if I need to. I have him on 3 teams. And I've got him. I've got him. Yeah, I've got him as my flex. I could put Gallup in over him. I could put Melvin Gordon in over him. So I've got to make a decision on that team, kind of similar to you.
Yeah.
And then another league where I've got to make some calls there too, because right now I've got him in as my number 2 wide receiver. I've also got Sutton. I've also got Woods. I've got AJ Green. So it's a bunch of guys that are kind of like, all right at the same level that it's like, who do I play here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's going to be fun. Football's back. I'm glad to be back doing this with you guys. Well, we've been doing it for a while, right? We never really stopped, but we're doing it for real now. We've got games tomorrow. We've already had a game Thursday. Thomas H says, who wins Sunday? Brady Bucks or Breeze Saints? I think Saints all the way. I don't even think it's going to be close. But
whoa.
I think Saints, yep. I got to go with them at home. Bucks, new, still trying to get things together. First game on the road, maybe no Mike Evans. Yeah, I got to go with the Saints.
Anything
I think Saints win by 10, probably something like 34-24, only because Patriots score, Brady brings it within 3, but then the Saints ice it with a late touchdown, I think. So I think it's going to be closer than you're making it out to be. But I think the Saints are going to take it game 1 at home. I think it's going to be close though.
Although what if Brady, can you imagine the pressure that would dial up in Tampa and the headlines if Tampa just came out and just face planted? Sorry, Ryan, I'm not exactly wishing this, but part of me would be amused by it, just for all the drama and the hype it would create. All the headlines of New England made Tom Brady. Tom Brady's nothing outside of New England. He's washed up. It's never going to happen. What if they just destroyed him 38-7 or something like that? I mean,
That's just Belichick syndrome. Whenever the Patriots lose game 1 to Buffalo, that's the same thing that happens. Belichick, like what happens if Miami? This
Not
like
Belichick,
I
though.
always say, Miami wins 1 game a year against New England. They have like their free season pass to a 6-10 season, but they're entitled to 1 win against New England. I don't know.
Belichick isn't playing, and you've got Ryan. What's his name? The coach for the Saints.
Sean Payton.
No, Sean Payton.
Sean Payton. Yeah, why did I say Ryan? Sean Payton. Typically, when he has time to game plan against a team, he's a savvy coach. Not Arians is no slouch.
Right. Yeah, it is. It would be different where, I mean, with the Patriots, Belichick can adjust. Of course, Tampa can do that, but it's not so much Tom Brady that would be adjusting as it would be Bruce Arians. So, yeah, I don't know, but I'm going to be intensely curious about that game.
What time's the game? Let me check. That's a 1:00 game.
I would assume so.
Buccaneers, no.
3:25. Yeah, or
3:25
3:25 my time. So yeah,
4:25 for us. Yeah.
I need to see about. I need to see if the Colts are going to be on anywhere. I also need to see like if there's a package I can get to like watch the Colts games this year because I
won. Yeah. Or 12 for some people.
Yeah, because I haven't watched them regularly in a while because they don't get any kind of primetime games and stuff anymore. And then I didn't want to watch them in the Andrew Luck season, and then or the Andrew Luck season where he retired. So
gotcha.
I didn't.
So I watch a lot of the games illegally, but I watch a lot of the games on the Yahoo app now. And when we were in that final together, the fantasy final together, Jared.
The one that I won or the one that I lost? No, I guess there weren't any that I lost. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Go ahead.
It's the one that you won.
I just wanted to be. It was purely out of making sure I knew which one we were talking about. But there was just the one. There was just the one. My bad.
Anyways, I was watching. It would only show me games that were in my certain area.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were traveling. Yeah. We were going. Unfortunately, that day we were traveling from Illinois to I think Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we were going through a lot of different places.
Yeah.
So are you not able to see Titan games on the app?
Colts.
I think. Yeah, I don't know what I can see on the app in terms of if the Colts are playing somebody closer by, like the Titans or the Jaguars or what. But just normally the CBS game, like the ABC, I mean, normally on NBC, they've got the NFC games, or I'm sorry, not NBC, Fox. They've got the NFC games. So the Falcons are always on Fox. So then CBS is typically the AFC game. But I can't remember who it normally is, but I mean, it's never like, even if the Colts are playing the Titans or the Colts are playing Jacksonville or something like that, typically it's always like a more interesting matchup. They'll go farther out of the region to find a more interesting matchup for people to watch. So like it's Pittsburgh or, usually somebody like that. So there is a way I could watch. There's like a fairly cheap package you can buy, I think, that lets you watch Colts games like after, but not live. Like you can go back and watch it in the afternoon. I think the one where you watch it live is like pretty expensive, but I haven't checked the pricing for this year. So I'll do that actually after we get off. So.
All right. Well, good luck to you guys, except for you, Jared.
Nope. Can't take it back. Can't take it back now.
What am I doing? No, good luck to you guys, and may we have lots of fun conversations tomorrow. Don't be afraid to post comments on our listener league. That's a good thing about having a lot of our listeners on as a listener league. We can do little comments on the app, so it'll be fun to do that tomorrow. And for the rest of you that are watching, none of you.
There's 2. We got 2 people watching right now. We're good.
but they're probably in our listener league. But for anybody who's outside our listener league, we have Facebook. You could tune into that. I drop a little comment there every now and then. So hoping to drop more there. So anything else, guys?
That's it for me.
Not much. I think I'm good. I'm very happy because today there's just a slew of sports on. There's just hockey and soccer and college football. You know, Jude Buda's dream today.
Yeah, this is like the first time in history maybe that we get like everything at one time: NBA, baseball, hockey, football, all these things. So it is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's groundbreaking. Oh, we got one last comment.
Hey, let's go.
Thanks for listening, Math Quest, and be sure to leave some comments in our listener league on Yahoo Listener League app. We like your comments, and we'll respond to them there. All right, guys. Well, that does it. We'll see you guys on the interwebs. Otherwise, we'll see you on Tuesday. Both of you guys will be here on Tuesday, or hopefully, or we'll see.
Yep.
I'll be there.
Yep. Looking forward to it. Good luck, everybody.
Y'all too.
Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you guys later.